And we're live. Welcome to one of the last afternoon shows of the Maple Minds podcast. Don't worry, it's not one of the last shows, it's just one of the last afternoon shows. Before we went live, we had a schedule discussion, and we feel that we're able to get to more people if we broadcast later on in the daytime. So starting in January, starting with our first episode in January, which will be the first Friday in January, we will be at 5 o'clock Pacific time and 8 o'clock Eastern time. That way we can get people who are off work to come and watch us share our opinions of Canadian politics, British Columbia politics, and international politics. So yeah, we're going to start at 5 o'clock in January, but for today, we're right here. We've got a show that is mostly Canadian, and then we'll dip our toes into some American while still talking about Canadian. Again, we're the Maple Minds podcast. I'm Christy, that's Rob and Polly. If you aren't already subscribed to our YouTube, please do so. Subscribe to our YouTube, and we're live every Tuesday and Friday starting in January at 5 o'clock. So let's just jump into it. Let's start with BC and an update on the OneBC party. And the reason I'm using my fingers is because of my distaste for the people in that party. It's because they're not officially a recognized political party in the British Columbia Parliament any longer, since Tara Armstrong said, hey, I'm announcing that I will not caucus with Dallas Brody. Yesterday, Dallas made a comment about how she has regained the leadership after they tried to kick her out. So OneBC is still being led by Dallas Brody. But my question to you, Rob, to start the show is, does it even count since it's not a party?
Honestly, the drama is like the best part. Like, you kind of sit there and go, how dysfunctional of a party do you have? But does it make her a leader of one? Like, is it like I'm a leader of one person? I'm the leader of this party, but there's just me.
I think
I
she's
follow
still got
in
a
the
guy named
leader, the
Wyatt
leader,
Claypool.
the leader. Like, if I just created a party and I'm like, well, I'm the leader, is that what happens? Because there's only one person in the party, so you elected yourself leader again.
Well, I think that's for the supporters. They still have, even if they're not officially recognized by the legislature, we do have to recognize that they do have supporters in British Columbia. So I think what she's saying is, hey, the movement is still going forward. She even made a point to repost what their policies are, say, you know what, nothing's changed. What we believed in before is what is still happening. That was just, all those guys are gone. Like the whole board. I believe the board was 4 people and 3 of them are gone. So it's just her. I know she's got, like I said, Wyatt Claypool, who's just a content creator on Twitter and stuff. She's got, and he's not even from BC, which I find interesting to have somebody like it's provincial politics. If it was federal party, wouldn't matter. But it's provincial politics, and you have somebody who isn't from this province on your team. And I believe him and another content creator named Chris Erickson, also on Twitter. He is from BC, but I think it's just her and 2 social media people. I don't know of anybody else, correct me if I'm wrong, who is associated with the party. And because it's no longer recognized by the legislature, they don't get taxpayer money anymore. I don't know what happens to what they would have spent. What they would have spent would have been equal to about 320,000, I believe, for half a year, because it's like 658,000 per year. They were an active party for half a year, 300 grand. I don't know what they spent it on. I would love to be able to see that. Hopefully we do in the future, as well as
video. All on that movie video thing. That's probably all they spent it on.
Okay, she said that they did the video on a shoestring budget, but I believe it's worth bringing up, so I'm glad that you did. She said that Tim Thielman wrote it and directed it for free, and that a lot of them had just donated their time. But almost everybody who is associated with that video, with the production of it anyways, is part of the party, right? So she's saying that, she's saying that they did it for free, but are they getting paid with taxpayer money
they paid themselves. They paid themselves with it. Guaranteed they did. Guaranteed. I mean, if they didn't, I'd love for them to show. I'd love for them to show it. That I'd
Yep.
put that on them and say, if you didn't pay yourself, show us that you didn't.
Yeah.
Show us that you didn't pay yourself.
Show us where you'd spent the money.
Show us that you didn't pay yourself for a racist propaganda video that you put out on behalf of taxpayer money. Show us.
So
show us that you didn't take any of that money.
Here's my thing though. I think it's possible that they weren't in this for the money. I think that they got the Tim Thielman and Paul Ratchford. That's who I believe is behind this. I think Tara Armstrong, honestly, in my opinion, I think she's just a puppet for those guys. But those guys, the reason that the party split apart is that they had apparently endorsed support for a guy that allegedly was putting out Nazi messages. Right. So what do they get out of this if it isn't money? If they don't take a big paycheck from the party money that is allowed to the party from taxpayers, what do they get out of it? They got to push a movie. They got to write and direct a movie encouraging Canadians to doubt the stories of Indigenous people and to believe that they're only scammers. That is very powerful. That is more powerful, in my opinion, than 320,000, even if they took every single dollar. I think it is more powerful for people who, if they do truly believe in the Nazi messages that Othman was pushing, I think for somebody with those beliefs, I think that video I think they were bragging about it having like 2 million views. I think that is more valuable to them than dollars, especially considering how many billionaires are very happily handing over dollars in order to push these messages. Just my opinions, not the opinions of the show. You can't.
Yeah, I don't think that they did it for the money. We all know why they did it. They did it to spread that message. I'm just saying they definitely pocketed some of that money, though. Like, guaranteed.
I think so too.
While they made that video.
Do you think they should have to pay it back now that they're not a party, though? Like their party lasted how long?
6 months.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess if you get 650,000 or whatever it is for the whole year, and they were a party for 6 months, then I guess technically they should be entitled to half of that.
Yeah, I think so too.
But they should be held accountable for where that money that they spent, that was tax dollars money. Like, we should know where they spent that money. What did they spend our money on? Especially the fact is they were never elected as OneBC. Like let's just start from the beginning. They were never elected in their ridings as a OneBC party. They were
supporters mad at us.
They were elected. They were elected as a conservative member of parliament.
But that's what everybody's saying about about David Eby right
crossers.
now, and
what I'm talking about is no. You can floor cross, you can do whatever you want, whatever. But all I'm saying is they created a new party, a racist right-wing party.
Oops.
There. Oh.
Did you mute him?
Sorry, I accidentally did. Yes. Could you please repeat what you just said? Sorry.
What did I say? I mean, like, what did I do? Him already being censored. No, I'm just saying we created this right-wing racist party, and now we're all like, oh yeah, they got a party. Like, they were never elected in that party. So, like, the people in their writing, how many of them are going, I didn't vote for this. I didn't vote for this. And whatever, it is their prerogative. They're able to do it. I mean, that's just something that you're able to do. But let's just be clear. The people in that riding did not vote for them as a OneBC party. They did not vote for them under that,
I understand, but again, that's the same argument that people who are criticizing people like Michael Maw and Chris D'Entremont, that's what they're saying. They're saying the voters had voted for somebody on the Conservative Party, and then the argument against that is that that's not how our system works. We vote for people. And the people in Armstrong and Brody's riding, in my opinion, should be squawking loudly about this. This is not what I voted for, right?
Yeah. But it is. I think there is a difference. There is a difference. I mean, you're talking about ridings in which the Liberals and Conservatives are like, it's a close heat where it could have gone either way. There could have versus someone who's just created a brand new party, a brand new right-wing party with these ultra-right conservative views, and out of nowhere. All I'm saying is it's okay because you're allowed to do it, and I'm not saying anything about them not being allowed to do it. I'm just saying is we are not going to know what this OneBC party really looks like, or this movement that they talk about, until they actually go to an actual election and are then voted in under that party. That's when we'll have a better understanding of how fucked up Canadians are, BC people are, or if they actually vote for these people after all of
like
garbage.
So interestingly, Tara Armstrong had won her riding with one of the largest. She had one of the biggest wins. I think it was the second biggest win in British Columbia was in Tara Armstrong's riding, but that was before the OneBC stuff. So it will be interesting to see what that happens now. Pardon me. I don't think either of these women survive recalls. Honestly, they're both eligible for recall as of April 20th. So I don't think that either of them. I think that this is the end of them, but we'll see. I think the difference in your argument is that the other floor crossers are going to existing parties, whereas OneBC wasn't even on the ballot because it didn't exist at election time. I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
I also believe strongly that British Columbians should push for David B to undo what he did in 2017. He is the reason that you can make a party with only 2 MLAs. It should be moved back to 4. It should be moved back to 4, in my opinion. It shouldn't have been put to 2. I understand what it was, but that's why it's one of those things that make people dislike politics, right? They made this in 2017. They needed how the NDP needed the support of the Green Party. The Green Party wasn't a real party because they only had 3 MLAs. And at the time, the rule was you had to have 4. So EB goes in and he made an amendment to say, oh, you only need 2. Look at that. Green Party is a party. Green Party goes, yay, we're a party. You have our support now. So, and I understand that that's part of the system and that's part of the game. I'm just pointing out as part of the game that turns people off of supporting. But it should be moved back to 4. It shouldn't have been 2. Only 2 people. Come on. That's like you having a bad idea and only having to convince one other person that your bad idea is a good idea. Let's go make a party. Let's go get $658,000 of taxpayer money. Let's get questions in the parliament. Let's waste parliament's time with our questions about our bad ideas. Okay, rant over. Put it back to 4.
And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what. And then the drama. 2 people, yeah. I honestly, I think it's hilarious how dysfunctional it is. If you only have 2 people in your party and you guys can't even get along and keep that party. I like OneBC, what a joke. It's just a joke. At this point, it's a joke. It's a racist agenda. They're trying to push it, and you could just see the dysfunction and how just disastrous they are. It's comical. It's comical at this point. But it's dangerous. It's dangerous too. They're dangerous.
I'd like to point out one other thing, and I'm not trying to spread a conspiracy or anything. I'm just asking questions over here. And my question is, has anybody actually met the 22-year-old staffer named Othman McLoufie? Has anybody actually confirmed that he's a real life person who is a 22-year-old who isn't even white? Or is it an account run by somebody who is claiming to be a 22-year-old person who isn't even white, who has these beliefs, who says that they worked with the White House? I'm just saying, when I asked that on Twitter, the only person to like that post was Othman McLoufie. I'm not making this up. I put out a post to say, has anybody ever met this guy in person, or are they just believing that he's a 22-year-old brown guy because he said he was? And he's the one who liked that post. So I asked it again, and the closest I got was, oh, well, there was a picture of him. How do you know it's him? You know what I mean?
Oh, there's a picture. Yeah. Wow.
I'm just saying.
That's interesting.
especially since they're saying that, well, he's, just young and he isn't even white. So, you can't take what he says. You can't say that that's Nazism because he isn't even white. I think that plays into some other things that I've seen on social media with regards to anonymous accounts who say, well, you can't speak against my harmful messages because I'm part of a minority community. You can't, you're a white lady, you're a cis het white lady, you have privilege. I don't, even though as an anonymous account, you have the privilege because nobody knows who you are. You're probably a straight white guy behind the anonymous account. Just my opinion.
I think it doesn't matter what the person looks like. I think if you're spreading hate and
I think so
division,
too.
I mean, then that's a problem. Like, I don't care what color your skin is or whatever. You can't just say these things and then be like, well, I can't be a Nazi because I'm not white. No,
Yeah.
but you're still spreading hate and you're spreading division and garbage, especially since if nobody even knows what you look like, how would anyone know other than you just saying that? Like, it doesn't
And
make
it's
any
like,
sense.
I'm not saying he's not real. I'm just saying that that's what I'd asked on social media. That's it. Now, he probably, I don't see, I don't know what the likelihood is of him not, but anyways, I'm going to move on to the Conservative Party race because we're
Maybe
already
he's
at quarter
watching.
after.
If
Huh?
you're watching right now, if he's watching right now, come on the show. Let's have a conversation.
I don't know if we want to platform a guy with those kind of ideals, but we could ask
I just
what
want to see
happened with
him.
OneBC.
Yeah.
I think, okay, so here's another thing. Sorry, I know I said we were going to move on to the Conservative race, but I just saw another one of my notes and I saw something else, especially when I said I don't want to platform anybody with those kind of views. I think another thing that the Tim Thielman and Paul Ratchfords gained out of this was exposure for the Dominion Society. That was another, straw that broke the camel's back in regards to the breakup of the party, was that they didn't like the association with Dominion Society. Dominion Society had a lot of, oh, hey, here I am moments. They would have all those people who followed Brody and supported Brody because they liked anti-Indigenous message, who enjoyed the racism that comes along with pushing denialism, because you're naive to think that they're not there. I think that they got an introduction to the Dominion Society, who are now, I saw a guy from the Dominion Society post on X to say, oh, just because I don't agree with Trudeau doesn't mean that I'm a white supremacist. And that's kind of opening the door for these new people to say, oh, who's this Dominion Society? What are they about? Oh, I also disagreed with Trudeau. Oh, they're not white supremacists. They're just people who disagree with Trudeau, which is bullshit. They're racists, pushing white supremacist shit. But now, and they're always recruiting too. So I think that that's what the OneBC party got out of this in their brief tenure as a party. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just my opinion. Anyways.
Nice. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, now let's move to Conservatives, because there's a lot of talk about Aaron Gunn. So John Rustad quits, and there's rumors about who's going to run. Nobody's actually put their hat in yet to say it's going to be me. There's a lot of people talking about it. So Aaron Gunn is one of them. He is currently an MP on the North Island. Ian Black is one of them. Oh, I'll talk about him in a minute. We talked about Daryl Jones in the last show, Daryl's Deals, the president of Save On Foods, or former president of Save On Foods. But I'd like to first talk about, before we get into the Conservative race and what these guys' chances are or whatever, I'd like to talk about what happens if Aaron Gunn says, okay, it's me. So what he's done is he's put a poll up on Twitter, or like this opinion survey thing. It's a survey. Tell me if you think that I should run for the leader of the Conservative Party. And one of the questions, so it wants your postal code, wants your email, and then it wants to ask you if you're not already a member of the Conservative Party, would my running encourage you to become a member so that you could vote for me? So here's what I think about that survey. I think he's already decided what he's going to do, whether or not he's going to run. And the survey is to just either find people to chase for support if he is running, or to say to Pierre Poilievre, hey, sorry I stabbed you in the back. by giving the Liberals the majority, because that's what would happen. If Aaron Gunn leaves his MP seat, that's one less seat that counts towards the calculation of what they need, meaning the Liberals would only need 172 to 171 seats, which they already have. So until the by-election would fill that seat, the Liberals would have a majority, which is not a good, it's a kick in the balls for Pierre. It's a huge, with pointy toes, kick in the balls for Pierre. And Pierre is the reason that Aaron Gunn is an MP. Pierre is the one who parachuted Aaron Gunn into that riding that used to be NDP territory. I think it's juicy that he's even talking about it. What do you think?
I think it's awesome. I think it's hilarious. Like, the whole thing is beautiful, because I truly believe he is sort of one of the forerunners in the conservative group that they want as their leader. And I mean, even further to that is, if there is a by-election, does the new conservative candidate in that by-election, do they win that seat, or do the Liberals take the seat? You know, like,
or does the NDP take the seat back?
Or does the NDP, take the seat back? Like, what happens in that riding? You know, like, that's honestly, for me, I think that's the exciting part about all of this. But
yes.
I mean, you still can't discount Darrell's deals. So, I mean, that's the other portion, is where, you know, if there is, you know, a political sway from Pierre Poilievre to the BC Conservatives and say, hey, like, this Darrell guy seems pretty good. You know, like, maybe you guys should be pushing him. Don't worry about Aaron Gunn. Maybe one day he'll be good for it. I don't know.
Pierre
Who knows?
will never support, in my opinion, and I'm happy to take this bet with anybody. Also, just 2 days before I lose my Pierre bet, Pierre, it's not too late, man. You could give me a Christmas present, step down tomorrow. Holy, I would celebrate. Anyways, I don't believe you would ever see Pierre Poilievre supporting anybody who didn't come from an already established political system. I think that he's going to throw his weight behind Aaron Gunn. I don't think he would ever support, even if Aaron Gunn wasn't in there, I don't think he's supporting Darrell Jones to save his life. I really don't. The other person to consider is Ian Black, who was a member of the BC Liberals in the Gordon Campbell era. So that's important to talk about too, because BC Liberals are not liberals. They have no affiliation, no connection with the federal Liberal Party, and their policies were arguably more conservative, as shown by the fact that ex-BC Liberals then went on to conservative parties like Kevin Falcon with the BC United Party, which then folded to John Rustad, which was also part of the BC Liberals, who then led the Conservative Party. Anyways, so he's a BC Liberal, which means he's a more center-right politician, and he has been apparently reaching out to other people in political systems, supporters, and members of parliament and stuff, and saying, hey, what about if I ran? So this is what I think is going to happen. And I talked a little bit on the show last week about how I felt that this race was going to determine which way British Columbia Conservatives want to lean, if it's more towards the center or if it's to the further right in more of a Dallas Brody direction. I think if somebody like Ian Black is in there, Ian Black and Darrell Jones, but again, I don't know Darrell Jones's politics. I only know his business personality, and when somebody's on a commercial, they're selling stuff, right? That's not him. So I'm going to reserve my political opinion about him for now, except to say that his popularity will work in his favor. I think if we see an Ian Black versus Aaron Gunn race, I think that puts British Columbia Conservative voters to a decision. Which way are you leaning?
Yeah, no, definitely. And it'll be interesting to sort of see the direction that they go in, you know, more center or more right.
Do you think that there's a possibility that they would split again? Again, the only reason that they're only one party now, the Conservatives, is because the BC United, who were supposed to be more center right, the only reason they don't exist anymore because they threw their party away for the benefit of the Conservatives. Do we see this center versus right pull, do we see that maybe fractured again, and then we see the rebirth of BC United under a different leader, because it won't be Falcon, in my opinion, with a different name, not the Liberals, I hope. What do you think?
I doubt it. I think they're both like enough to the right that it's not going to make a huge difference. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I believe, yeah, like I believe that they can all coexist in the realm
Big
that they
tent.
fall within on that right hand side. You know, like I think that they can live with each other in hopes that one day that their party will be the party that is leading BC, and that's their goal. That's, you know, they're growing, and you know they feel that one day that, you know, especially with Eby and his ratings are going down, they're really starting to feel like they have a good shot to pull something off in BC.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
That's
and
just
I
good
mean,
business. Like, honestly,
yeah. If they
that's good
split,
business.
it means nothing. Like, I mean, it'd be ridiculous if they split at this point. Like, that would just be self-destruction. Like, really, that it would make zero sense whatsoever for them to do that. 0 cents.
Just for the record, I said the same thing about the UK in 2016. Anyways,
Yeah,
I did.
you can't control stupid. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, manipulated. But I think that the striking when the iron is hot is a good point. And the iron is hot because EB is tanking in the polls right now. The guys, the last time I checked, he was the second least popular premier in the whole country. Let me slow this down a little bit, because it took me a while to really comprehend this. Danielle Smith from Alberta is ranking a more popular premier than David Eby is. Danielle Smith, like the guy's second
I thought
most
she was
unpopular.
last.
The only premier who's more unpopular is Legault. Fuck.
Oh wow, jeez.
And there's a recall. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's unfortunate because I don't think Eby's doing a bad job. I don't think anything that he's doing has, you know, put him in this position. I think just unfortunately, just things that have been happening in BC with inflation and economy and you know, house pricing and, you know, a lot of stuff is just not working in his favor. And I think it's unfortunate because I don't think him personally, any of the things that he is actually doing himself has put him in this position. Like, I think he's doing a decent job. He's doing a decent job as the premier, but for the most part,
I don't disagree. There are the problems I have with him are about his communication. So I think he's doing a poor job of communicating a confidence to British Columbians that he's still got it, and he's still driving the train in a productive conversation. I don't know if he's spoken about the Anglo-Tech merger. I think that's a huge win for Canada. It gives Canada the biggest mining company in the entire world. This was a little bit down our list, but I just want to talk about it since we're talking about Eby. If I was Eby, I'd be screaming about this at the top of my lungs about how they're going to be headquartered in Vancouver. This company that is going to bring, you know, $60 billion to the Canadian economy. I think that's a big win. I think that he doesn't politic enough. I think that he thinks that I think he lives in the world of the way things should be and not the way things really are. And the way things should be is, okay, well, just listen to what I'm talking about, and the stuff that I'm saying is making sense, and people with pragmatic views and people with common sense are just going to get it. Meanwhile, he's being outmarketed by the people with common sense as a slogan. It should be the way things should be is that everybody should just have common sense and listen to what's really happening. And the way things really are is that people are being manipulated with propaganda. They're being manipulated by messaging, and he isn't countering the messaging effectively. That's my criticism of him. And they're right now too, they have a petition going around of recall Eby, which is premature since he's not eligible for recall until April 9th. It's going to be an interesting April in British Columbia. He's eligible for recall. Tara Armstrong and Dallas Brody from OneBC are eligible for recall. Everybody's eligible for recall. Normally, British Columbians are talking about 420 for greener reasons, but this year it's going to be about recalls. So I think that the Conservatives are smart to take this shot now. And I wish that David Eby would, and I hate to say this, I feel gross saying this, I wish he would act more like a politician. Because if he acted more like a politician, if he was communicating more like a politician and marketing the wins better and marketing the concerns better, I think he handled the Cowichan thing horribly. I think if he considered his political messaging as much as his messaging about what he's doing, and yes, those are two separate things, I think that he would be more popular. Just my opinion.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, though, you are right. I mean, he's a lawyer. I mean, he's a lawyer. He's a smart guy. He's, very probably all up in his head, and not out here for everybody else. Yeah. And I think that his messaging and the way he presents himself is very matter of fact. It's just, these are the facts. This is blah blah blah, and he walks away going, yeah, that was good. Meanwhile, everyone's going, I'm not feeling it. it. This guy's he's not selling me on nothing. Like he unfortunately just doesn't really have that charisma. Like he doesn't have this charismatic, Wob Canute, like he doesn't have
Wob is oozing charisma.
That's the thing, right? Like you've got this charisma, this, this confidence and this and you're like, it's awesome, right? Whereas, Eby's kind of like more matter of fact, business lawyer, like straight faced, very I think people need some charisma. They need someone that's going to come out and be like, woo, let's go, people. Like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Yeah, hey, look at this, look at this, look at this. Yeah. Look at me, look at what I've done, just whatever, right? Just, I mean, even Ford in Ontario is he's love him or hate him. He's a charismatic, I'm like,
do you know how many times I played when him and Carney were at that presser and they were talking about the commercial and he's like, it's the greatest, total straight face, it's the greatest commercial ever made.
And Carney rolled his eyes.
And then the reporter says, Mr. Carney was making some faces while you said it was the greatest video. And Ford, doesn't even, not a beat. He just goes, it was. I rewound that so many times. I loved it.
It was.
I did. Sorry, Polly, were you saying so? I think I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't cut me off. For me, it's speaking out against I don't see any politicians speaking out against BC One and what they did and speaking up for Indigenous people and things like that. Like he sticks to his policies and what he's promoting, but he doesn't. I know he does it in the House, but he doesn't. I haven't seen him do it outside.
He's done it in Parliament though. He's done it in Parliament. He stood up in Parliament and he said that he will support recall petitions against Dallas Brody and Tara Armstrong.
Yeah, but he's not doing it. He's not doing it to the media, and people aren't watching Parliament. I mean, we're watching it, but a lot of people are not watching Parliament.
I'm not watching it.
They are, but these deniers are having town halls. They're inviting people into town halls. They've got druthers, who is a written paper handing out to everybody. They have,
college tours.
Yeah,
campus tours, pardon me.
Ours are not doing enough. Our politicians, our people are not doing enough. They're not. What do they think it's going to go away? It's growing. In my opinion, I see it growing more.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
If you don't take care of the grass, the weeds will grow. I mean, that's just what it is. You know, if you don't tend to your lawn, the weeds are going to grow, and they're going to grow. You got to do something about it. You can't just sit there and go, well, one day maybe it'll just go away. No, the weeds will take over your lawn. Trust me. I've seen it in my backyard.
You also have to be, as a gardener, you have to be aware of when the most likely time for the weeds to come in and grow are, right? So when we bring this back to politics and we talk about society, recognize that during tougher economies and during times where there is such strong messaging being pushed from the right, recognize how easy it is going to be for those weeds to creep in and take care of the lawn. Do what you have to do to make sure that the grass knows that this is coming and knowing how to counter it instead of just, oh, they don't deserve my attention, or, oh, if you don't give it oxygen, it won't grow. Yeah, it's growing. It is growing. It gets oxygen from the other people who are putting it out there.
Yep,
I
100%.
love the lawn analogy. I do.
It's good. It's good. Yeah.
So let's talk quickly about Pierre. Well, we're still in conservative land. Pierre, who I'd love to hear that conversation between him and Gunn. I really would. Anyways, well, I know but you're going to give him a majority. Anyways, he made a comment about dirt. So they're doing their, pardon me, year-end interviews with the political reporters on TV, or the political journalists like Rosie and Vashi. And he says that Canadians should be facing the best food prices. We should have the cheapest food prices. We should have dirt cheap prices because we have the most dirt. He says because we have the most farmland, we should have the cheapest prices. Now,
Do
that's
we
being
have the most
completely
farmland,
ignorant.
really?
He said that with a straight face too. Like, and I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to use the word dirt to go dirt cheap and just put a slogan in people's brains, but you're ignoring, oh, I don't know, weather. You're ignoring labor costs. You're ignoring global markets. You have to have more than just fucking dirt. It's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
it's also, it goes to his style of, oh, everybody's going to be paying $20,000 extra in taxes on all vehicles next year because of this EV mandate, which is bullshit. Or the reason that we pay so much is because there's a food packaging tax. Bullshit. I understand talking about how taxes on fertilizers and industrial carbon tax. I understand how talking about how that affects the price of food, but it's less than, it's a very, very, very small percentage. And there is no food packaging tax. There is no magical, we'll just get rid of this tax and then your food's cheaper. And I think that politicians pressing that idea is, it's manipulative. It's saying, I know what's bugging you, so I'm going to pretend that I can fix it without giving a actual feasible solution of fixing it.
What, honestly, this is like my biggest beef. Like it really is. What I don't get is how people get sucked into this. And let's follow this. Canadian carbon tax and all that sort of stuff. How is that affecting all the other countries' inflation rates? Because it's not just inflation in Canada. We're talking around the world. It's a global issue. Inflation is a global issue. It's not a Canadian issue. And if it was our carbon tax that's stopping us and creating this inflation, how is our carbon tax inflating the rest of the world? How is that even possible? Like, is Canada inflating the prices on the world? Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, we are buying food from all over. Like, we're buying food from other countries, and the inflation starts from the beginning. And we all know inflation really became a thing during COVID. COVID started that inflationary rise, and it hasn't slowed down. And it's continuing. Well, actually, it started to slow down in Canada, thanks, to whatever we're doing out there. But for the most part, inflation is not a Canadian problem; it's a global problem. And until people understand how inflation works, I mean, yeah, Pierre's going to try and spread all this misinformation. Either he's just a complete moron, or he's brilliant because he's spreading the misinformation to people who are not smart enough to actually just go out and find out why inflation is inflation. It's not the Canadian government that's inflating your prices. It has nothing to do with them. Like, it's just
Also,
baffling.
the rate of inflation, a lot of people are talking about how the rate of the food price increases is greater than the rate of inflation. So first of all, to shake my pom-poms for Carney and Canada for a minute, we avoided a technical recession by having a positive GDP growth in quarter 3. If that was negative, we would have been in a technical recession. We avoided that. Some people are accusing him of falsely inflating numbers. I think if that's going to be your accusation, then prove it. It's easy to say, but prove it. And it's easier to see, like I accuse Trump of that. It's easier to see when they're withholding information, like how they won't release their jobs reports and such. But Carney's made...
Or when someone releases the jobs report and he doesn't like it, so he fires them.
Yeah. But I think Carney's made a lot of really good moves. I think that the $70 billion investment from UAE is a great move. That is an investment right into our government for energy, mobility, AI, mining, and to compare it to what they normally invest in us. In 2024, it was less than $9 billion, and now it's $70 billion. They also, and I spoke briefly about it before, the mining merger. So there was a very old company in South Africa called Anglo American, and 108 years old, and now merged with Tech Resources Canada, Tech Resources Canada, to become Anglo Tech. So now it is a Canadian company, headquarters in Vancouver, offices in South Africa and in UK, but Canadian company, again, worth almost 60 billion to our economy. I think you can say this guy is, pumping out fake numbers, but while he's bringing in stuff like that, I think there's going to be less and less reason to doubt those numbers.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think I'm waiting for the point where Carney's done so much that people can't even misinform people anymore, where you're looking at it going, oh wow, like this is pretty crazy. Like we're really moving up. Like we're doing.
I wonder that too. I think maybe 2 years. I think by end of 2027, beginning of 2028. That's what I think.
That's a long time to just listen to misinformation and garbage from other people.
Dude,
but
I've been
I really want
to it since 2020. February 2023 is when Pierre Poilievre started telling us all that he was going to be our next prime minister.
Yeah, I just want that aha moment. That
It's not happening, man.
Online drama thing. Have you ever seen those online drama things on TikTok where you start watching
and drama? Absolutely not.
He's actually a billionaire, but he's pretending to be a homeless person, and wait till you don't know who, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm the guy, and you're like, I'm waiting for that aha moment where everyone's like, you suck and you're homeless and you've got no money, and then all of a sudden he rips everything off and he's like, no, I own this $1 billion company and it's me, like I'm waiting for something like that where all of a sudden, everything comes out and we're like, yeah, Canada's worth hundreds of billions and we're the greatest country in the world.
Okay, can I say something? Everybody's waiting for I think that that's unrealistic, because I don't believe that you're going to get everybody who disagrees with you to agree with you overnight. And I say this no matter what side you're on. And it's something that I used to speak about a lot, about how that you're always going to have this friction. You're always going to have this conflict, because everybody is waiting for that concession. Everybody is waiting for the other side to go, aha, you were right. And it's not coming, man. I think there's never been a time of complete political harmony ever, right? You're always going to have people who aren't in power who want to be in power. So you're always going to have conflict. You're never going to have a time. But I agree with you on the desire for it. I think that, and especially the way that you described it with this Scooby-Doo moment of pulling off the mask, I think that so many people want that so badly. People from all different sides of the political spectrum. I just personally believe that it's an unrealistic dream.
Yeah, I you know what? For me, I'm okay with, you know, the people on the other side, for them to go, yeah, okay, well, that's all right, whatever. It is what it is. That's fine. You know, like we'll just agree to disagree, or you know, something along those lines, where they realize
It's not gonna
it.
happen.
But why
You know
can't
what? It
everyone?
happens
Why
with
can't
some
everyone
people,
just
though.
have an open mind in life? Just an open mind. Why do you got to draw lines? Why do you have to be on this side or that side? Or can we all not just look at something from the same lens and go, "Hey, that's pretty good." You know, if
No.
the conservatives came up with something that was great, I'd be like, "Hey, man, that's fantastic. Let's do this." Right? You
Okay.
know, liberals come up with this, whatever. I'm okay with whatever. If it's a great idea and it works, let's do it. I don't care what side you're on. I
Earl,
just
you're
want
a
what's best
dreamer.
for the people.
I'm gonna start singing. You're a dreamer. You are a dreamer. You are. I
What is
don't
that?
think
What is that
I
Beatles
like
song
the
or
idea.
John Lennon?
And I want to acknowledge that it does happen with some people who are able to have the conversation. I think there's two different kinds of people who have different political beliefs. I think that there's a group of people who that you're describing, people who engage in good faith political disagreements, who don't take it personally, who aren't so enamored with the label that they're given and the group that they're in and treat it like team sports and are just going to cling to their label no matter what, not listen to the other person. I think that there's the stubborn team sport people, and I think that there's the I'm willing to have a conversation people. I think the conversation people, that totally will happen with conversation people, either or. And I think that when it happens, I celebrate the shit out of that. I love when that happens. When somebody says, okay, you know, even if they say, I still disagree with you, but I'm going to look into what you have to say about it. I think that's a win. And even if they even any small, not concession, I don't need to hear that I'm right. I believe that we're being led to believe in two totally different realities. And I think it's frightening that we seem to be on the edge of losing a big portion of our society to an alternative reality with alternative facts.
Yeah. And that's where you see it though. You see the people that are willing to have good conversations that might be sort of really more conservative types, but they're in the middle. And those are the types that aren't going to be very happy with Poilievre. They're the ones that are like, they probably voted liberal this last election and they would have voted conservative had it been a different leader. And then you've got like the team Poilievre, who are going to go down with the ship because Poilievre is like some beacon of hope for them in this conservative world, or they're so conservative that they don't want to admit that this guy's an absolute failure, and they're still going to go down with the ship and they're still going to pump it. And it's like, well, all right, whatever, guys, keep doing what you're doing, because you know, if Poilievre's still in where he's in, you're never gonna be in power. Like there's no, like, I think if they were to even have election right now, I think that the conservative or the liberals would have a majority, like in a second.
Majority. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't think I don't.
For sure.
Conservatives are slipping, and they're slipping under Poilievre. And the fact is, I saw a little news thing on Poilievre where they're basically saying it's still his to keep. Like they're still predicting that after the review, they're still gonna basically say, yeah, you're our leader, and it's up to him on whether or not he wants to stay. Well, if it's up to him, if he wants to stay, he's going to stay. That's just who he is. He's never going to not stay. He's never going to step down. He's never going to be that guy that realizes that he's the failure of the party. Like, he's going to be like, no, we're going to keep doing this, and we're going to have to keep listening to his garbage. But you know what the best part is about all of that? Is we know who he is. He's garbage. He's not going to be a threat to anybody. He's just going to be this whiny guy spreading misinformation, trying to create this base that he has and try to, pander to them. And at the end of the day, It's done. Conservatives are never going to be in government.
Pierre Poilievre he's creating a divide, but he's creating like a 3-part divide. Like he's even dividing the conservatives within the conservatives. Like a lot of conservatives don't trust him, don't want him, and don't want his right-wing politics.
But the ones who do, and I
Yeah.
think there's an important distinction in the Pierre polls, because there's what does Canada think of Pierre, and then there's what do conservative supporters think of Pierre, and he polls quite high within his own party. So I think that's indicative of very strong support for his style, even though we all agree that style's never going to win with all Canadians. It's so popular with them, and they believe in that, and they believe in that style becoming as popular as it was before Carney put his hand up, without even like acknowledging or recognizing that probably the reason that he was so popular was because Trudeau was unpopular. I don't believe that Pierre was as popular because of who he was, as I think that the reason he was so popular is because Trudeau was grossly unpopular towards the end.
1,000%. Yep.
Oh,
and
you're not going to bring Trudeau back, right? So now you're against Carney. We know how unpopular he is against Carney, but the Conservatives are like, nah, man, we want this far right tone. This is what we want. I see the point, and I know that there's a lot of people go, well, at least we know what we're dealing, like the devil you know kind of thing. I'm a dreamer too. I dream of having somebody lead the Conservatives in a way that simply reflects traditional conservative values that aren't as far right, because that's not what I like, but somebody who's able to offer a productive opposition instead of just trying to divide with bullshit. I know I'm almost my dog, sorry. Do you know what I mean? I think that that Canadians deserve okay, then get out, a productive opposition instead of a bullshitter.
Yeah.
Do you hear that sniffing? She's giving me shit, man.
Yeah.
Tell her 5 more minutes.
It is funny though, because I mean, I don't know. I don't think the Conservative Party's ever going to go to that. I think they're going to just go a little further right. You know, like the Jamil Javanis of the world are going to try and step in, and I think it's going to change that party forever. And I think that what they have going on right now, and for me, is I'm interested as soon as they check the box and say, Pierre Poilievre, you've passed your review. You can, you know, if you choose to be the leader, you're still the leader of this party. And he goes, yes, I am. I'm interested to see if there is going to be another exodus of, you know, MPs crossing the floor. And you know,
then they're stuck. Then the guys who don't are stuck with the losing party, with the losing leader.
Yeah. And
I would start my own party. I would go with, if I was a progressive conservative, I would start my own party, and the Conservatives could be like what what's the purple party? Help me with my memory.
People's Party of Canada, PPC. Yeah. Max Bernier guys.
Conservatives go to be the people, what?
The purple people.
Party. Yeah, the purple people.
Oh, actually, it's funny story. I was like 5 years old, and we were going on a road trip for a family reunion in Saskatchewan, and we ran out of gas in the middle of nowhere, and some farmer came and gave us some purple gas that was able to get us to a gas station. And apparently you weren't really allowed to use purple gas in a vehicle, but they gave us purple gas so that we could get to where we needed to be. So whenever I hear purple, I think of purple gas.
Of course you do. And what a rebel you were for using gas you weren't supposed to.
I was 5, so it was my uncle that was driving.
Fair enough. All right, let's touch on one last thing before we wrap it up, and that is the 60 Minutes episode. Did you see it?
I saw a bunch of clips and stuff. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw enough. So
it's about 13 minutes long. You can find it all over social media. Everybody's posting this thing. somebody else had made an interesting comment about the CBS executive Barry Weiss, who had essentially said, no, we're not going to air this, the one that had pulled the plug on it. They said, they don't know if, pardon me, if she realizes how much extra attention she brought to it. She had also done an interview with Erica Kirk, and that thing got like no ratings. And this thing is being seen all over the place. Because as soon as you say, oh no, you can't see that, everybody goes, why can't I see it? I want to see it more now. And
What are
it's
you
getting a
hiding?
lot of airplay, and it does not look good for the United States administration. It does not.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's damning.
It's war crime shit.
Yes. Like literally the people of the world need to stand up and go, okay, you want to talk genocide? You want to talk all this crap going on all over the world? What is happening in the United States where they've done this to these people? Like they did this. Like crazy, killing people on boats, coming from Venezuela, now, I don't know. Like the world has gone mad. The world has gone mad to allow this.
I would like to remind everybody of a tweet that JD Vance put out in, I think it was September, during the strikes on the boats. Somebody had posted to say, this sounds like this sounds like a war crime. And JD Vance, the Vice President of the United States of America, tweeted back, I don't give a shit what you call it. I think the people of the world should give a shit when the vice president doesn't give a shit that they're committing war crimes. And I think that it'd be very interesting to see what happens to CBS after this, especially. And I don't believe that it was some hero in Canada that said, ha ha ha, they're not going to show this. I'm going to make sure it gets out there. I think, and I could be wrong, but I think it was just I think it was more of an incompetence thing. I think that the Americans told the American stations, hey, don't put this, and then didn't even think about where they also broadcast. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Someone just took it and be like, hey, we're not airing this, but maybe someone else should.
But no, because 60 Minutes would normally air in Canada on Global. Like it was a regularly thing. I think that they just didn't. I think that they flicked all the off switches in the United States and forgot about the other countries. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is some kind of Canadian hero.
That's got to be accidentally on purpose, though. No?
Could be.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Let's talk about something else on purpose, just super quick. The Vanity Fair pictures of the Trump administration. Did you see those?
No.
Oh, no. Rob, I'm going to send you some videos later. So there's a lot of professional photographers breaking down these pictures because, like, they're awkward. They are. The photographer apparently is Canadian, and the photographs that they chose to use in the Vanity Fair article are not flattering whatsoever, and they depict a much different image than one that the American administration puts forward very often. I think one of my favorites is the very, very close up of Caroline Leavitt, all of her pores showing and every single little injection marks along her lips, just showing that this isn't as marketed. This is who you're really looking at, not the plasticky version that they want to present to you. This is really these guys. I thought it was I thought it was great. I thought it was art. Not just because they look bad. And it isn't about looking bad. It's about looking different than the PR package that they're putting out every day.
Did you see that the Epstein files that were just released, where there was a letter from Epstein to like some I don't know, some convicted rapist or pedophile or whatever it was, but in the actual transcript, it basically started talking about their love for young girls and how the president shares that same love, and went on to talk about how he touched their hoo-has and all this stuff, and yet he's stuck in prison and he's the president or something crazy. And I read that and I'm like, holy man, you couple that with his that interview where he was on that hot mic where he was talking about, oh, you could just touch them anywhere and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I go like, how can you not pair all this stuff together and throw it out there and be like, there, it's clearly, it's all there, people. It's all there. You like, come on. But it just came out. And yeah, I think there were MSNBC, I think, was reporting on it, and they were showing the actual letter. And they're basically saying they couldn't verify it 100% or any of that stuff, but they were like, yeah, look at this letter.
Yeah, I haven't looked at what was released yet. I know that there was a bunch of stuff released. And then I know that they also deleted, I think, 15 files. And then a bunch of people on the internet went, hey, where are these 15 files? And then they were like, oh, well, we didn't want it to be upsetting to some people. And it was because it had pictures of Trump in it.
Yeah. Well, they also said in these files, like there was Trump's name in all these files. And there was a big press release saying, you might see Trump's name, blah, 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 but these are all false. This is all, all false narratives and not real and fake and blah, blah, blah. Like just all this crazy stuff where they put this out. And it's like, okay.
Did you see the fake video of Jeffrey Epstein's cell and his supposed unaliving?
No.
That was also in the Epstein files, and it was a fake video that was made by somebody to put out.
Interesting.
Well, we all know that there's something happened, and it was like guaranteed. Like he did not unalive
why would
himself.
you make a fake video of that? I also think that every time Donald Trump says no, that's fake, if he doesn't follow it up with suing them, then it's bullshit, because that guy sues everybody, even when they're not bullshitting. So you're telling me, and I remember it came out during Kash Patel's hearings when they were talking about, the letter apparently that Trump had written for Epstein for his birthday, and they're like, nope, that's fake, it's a forgery. And they said, okay, well, are you going to sue the Epstein estate? And he's like, for what? And they're like, you just accused them of forging the president of the United States signature supporting one of the biggest pedophiles in the country. And he's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we'll look into that. We'll launch an investigation. Come on, you're telling me the guy who sues everybody isn't going to sue Epstein estate? And somebody else had pointed out on X today too, that in all of the comments about Epstein files and such, Donald Trump has never once expressed any concern for the victim or the survivors, and has never once said anything bad about Epstein or Maxwell, and has said, I hope Maxwell's doing well or something. Maxwell, who was transferred into a cushier prison. Nobody knows why.
Just because she just got lucky.
Yeah.
She won the lottery. She won the prison lottery.
Well, okay, so I would just like to wrap up today by saying I would like to win the Christmas lottery by seeing a resignation by Pierre Poilievre by midnight Thursday night, if possible. If not, Friday, Boxing Day, I will spend making videos for the people I have lost my bet against.
How many?
5.
Have you been writing them down? Just five.
I remember them. Joe.
Rob always gets in on your bets. Joe.
Yeah, Rob. No, Rob blocked me. Joe, Oscar, Scott Douglas, Gracie, and one other person. Creek Pete. Anyways, Mr. Poilievre,
that's a lot of videos.
If you're watching this, you have a minute to make this right. You could resign by Christmas. That would be a great Christmas present to me.
We all know what you're doing on Boxing Day.
To Canada. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that'll be Boxing Day. That'll be on my regular channel, on my my concession videos. We will be back next Tuesday, December 30th, for a year-end wrap-up show and to talk about anything that's going on. And that'll be on our regular time right now of 1 p.m. Pacific time. And then after that, the Friday, wait a second, is that the day after New Year's?
I'm not sure. Hold on. I'm worried if
It
I
must
pull up
be.
my.
It must be.
So wait. So
Boxing Day, New Year's Day.
No. New
Boxing
Year's
Day.
Day is Thursday. So Friday we're good to go. It'll
How
be the
come I can't
second.
even work my own calculator?
Yeah, it'll be the second. So our first 5 p.m. show will be on January 2nd on Friday, 5
Yes.
p.m. Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Tell everybody about the time change. I'll make a video too about the time change. And we will see you next Tuesday, 1 o'clock. And we hope everybody has a great Christmas.
Bye, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, don't forget to subscribe,
Yeah.
please, to our YouTube, because we're trying to get to 500 and we're almost like, I mean, we're getting close. We like need 90 more people.
Get us closer.
Yeah, please.
Bye, everyone. Have
All
good
right.
holidays.
Hope Santa's good to you.
Yes.
We'll see you in a week.